really have gone through to help with that. Thursday, I think we'll probably concur on it, is 79E. We changed the housing opportunity zone. It was not really usable. The only community in New Hampshire that has actually adopted it is Concord, and they didn't actually use it. And the problem is that a third of your units had to be at workforce level, and that was not economically viable. And so in the new incarnation, if it goes to your overlay district, you would be able to use it, and that's good. And the other thing is we passed it last session. That works for you guys because you're in a town charter, but it didn't work for everybody else. But they're expanding the CPACER program. And so you can designate a district as a CPACER district, and then private money will help the property owner with energy improvements. And so that also would be helpful if you're doing new construction. So those are good things. Both of those could be used theoretically in your overlay. I don't know with the West Edge, because it's going to be a lease that you do it. If you could be able to do it, you may be able to do the CPACER, but I would look into it. So overall, I think I said to Carden, like at the beginning of that it's not like, and to Jay, it's not like the fight where you had to do everything with the lodging houses and you're under the gun. I think you have a little bit more flexibility now to think about what you're doing. So I think that's good news. So, and I think you have an experienced planning board now that can help you get through it. So that's it.
The first bill you mentioned was House Bill 1010, but the other one that there's no concurrence in going to conference. Which House Bill number was that?
1588.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Senate made an amendment to it, and so I would look at it. It's weird. It was supposed to be parking. They say, you can't ask for, the parking you ask for can't be garage parking. But that's not the worst of it. When you look down at the next two things, and actually in the last line, you look at it, Jim, that you could be, if you're fined to violate that premise, the town would be held liable for court costs. So it's not that great. And I think we really weren't in favor of it, but it's going to go to committee of conference, and I don't know what will happen with it.
Let me make a comment, because I want anybody listening to know where I stand on some of these things. I haven't had a chance to really speak to it, but everybody seems to forget that this town still, as we know from going to Concord, everything we do to allow more housing in the residential neighborhoods, there's a potential for students, and I can use that word. The state has used that term, students, in their laws that they're passing. So we can legally say, we're talking about students. So if you put a multi-unit in a residential neighborhood, there's nothing that we can do to stop students from renting it. And I don't care whether there's less people coming or not. If it happens, it will completely change the nature of a neighborhood. So I want you to be aware that I and my neighbors certainly have feelings about that, and I haven't gone too much to the planning board yet to talk to them about it, but believe me, there will be people from town talking about it if it comes up.
They do. I mean, they've pushed you guys in a bad position because it's the same with single-family houses now as a lodging house. They've kind of let that happen everywhere, so it's really challenging, particularly for Durham, the way they've been set up. And again, the way they've been doing the commercial and residential is vague to say the best.
To finish up, just as a anecdotal, I did mention this to Todd. This was graduation weekend. I've been in town for 50 years, and I have certain feelings about graduation weekend. If there's any time at all when we don't care about noise, to me it's a graduation weekend when these kids are going to be coming in and then going. And I have a group of...
There's plenty of noise coming from behind your house.
Behind my house. A group of seniors who've been there all year, and I finally got them under control. I got them to lower their bass by a third. And we could actually sit in our family room and listen to TV without having to put headphones on. And one of them texted me and said, we're going to have an end of the year party, just so you know. Just like a few years ago when somebody was having a wedding and having a band outside in their backyard, came around to all the neighbors. Unfortunately, I think I'm the only one he came around to. Because when I got back from visiting our grandchildren, I went over and I'm standing there with a beer in my hand, enjoying the band, which was quite good, and talking to all the seniors who were leaving were very, very nice, finding out what they were going to be doing. And up comes an officer from our police department. And I went up and said, what's going on? And he said, we got noise complaints. We're going to have to shut this band down. And man, it was a little bit embarrassing on my part, since I do IT with these guys and all the time, and I know them well. And I just kind of said, as I left, I said to the kids there, it wasn't me. But, you got to be reasonable in town. I worked with these kids. We finally reached an agreement, and I think if there's one weekend where you can say, we hear the same thing from the college football, on the big weekends. So,
Yeah, sure.
but I did find out that a different group of kids will be there, and hopefully we'll shut it down completely when this summer session starts.
I mean, again, the good news is that Durham is not directly in the fire of the legislature this year, and so that's good. As I say, I just wish that we did a better job of vetting our bills before they came before us. And I think the commercial residential mess has been a good example of why we should do that. So sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks, Al.
Can we have Neil and Larry do the presentation so that we can?
Would you like to do your presentation?
Yeah, just-
Okay, we first have
Come on up, Larry.
Larry Brickner-Wood, who is the chair of the Historic District Commission and Heritage Commission. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure. It's nice to be here. I just asked you could pass that around, Carter. Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you all for serving. I know it's a ton of work, and I'm really grateful for be able to put that work in. And Todd, I know you're working all the time, so thank you. So I'll just be really quick. I give a lot of thanks at the beginning. I won't go over them here, but to me, life flows from gratitude. So we are really lucky, whether it's town staff or our volunteers, or right now our commission is really a good one. We have our disagreements, both on detail and also on perspective, but over the years we've been able to really talk those through, and I think have a little more respectful tone to each other and to our citizens. So I'm happy about that. The first thing and the biggest thing we're doing is the Bickford Chesley House, which is the project's essentially finished. If you haven't seen it, it looks wonderful inside. The contractor and DPW and our oversight team did a fantastic job. It's really something to be proud of. And we're working on getting the exhibit and the gallery up. And our hope is to have an open house as soon as that's ready to launch, hopefully in June, but as with everything, there's some snags, but I'm really excited about that. I was over, Cardin and I went over last week. I missed their meeting on Friday, but I'm on Thursday, I went on Friday, and it really is exciting. The depth of the historical research that's been put into this and the kinds of things that'll be in that first exhibit, but also the potential for meeting space and exhibit, and understand we have a tenant for the upstairs. And when I went upstairs, kind of envious. I said, boy, this is really a nice facility. So thank you all for your support in the project. And again, hats off to DPW, the contractor, and we had an oversight team of 4 people who really did a great job bird dogging. We will hopefully soon have an historic marker right across the street on the old Durham Town Hall. The marker's ready, but we've had some disagreements about how to hang it and install it and where to put it, but I think we've ironed those out, and it should be up soon. And our objective is to have one historic sign per year on one of our significant sites. We're also working on the entrance signs to the historic district, and also designing some signs, small signs homeowners could use just to note the date their building was built. That could be both within the district and outside the district. we're going to be involved in this, in the Section 106, not the review process, but the aftermath. We just signed the memorandum of understanding, and we'll be involved in the mitigations of historic and the impact on historic and cultural resources. Understand some of the work's already, I was talking to Public Works, they already hired the filmmaker who is, Jerry Monkman is top-notch, and one of the best, not just the best in New Hampshire, best in New England. So I was glad to hear that, and we're looking forward to really expanding our narrative of history to include many of the folks who were here long before my ancestors came, and also to talk about the evolution of the dam and the use of the river. So we're excited that that's off and running. Todd has graciously asked 3 of the committees to be on the planning director search. So thank you, Todd, and we look forward to that. And then we noticed in the draft town council goals that there's not much about historic preservation or cultural preservation in it, and we would respectfully ask that that be enhanced. One thing is to mention the Historic District Commission and the Heritage Commission actually in the goals, as some other committees and boards are mentioned, but also just to, you could take the master plan section on historic and cultural resources. The vision statement from that is actually short but quite good, but we just like to see more about the importance of historic and cultural preservation in your goals. That's it. Any questions?
I'd just like to sort of echo the comments about the exhibit in the Bickford Chesley house. It's really pretty moving, I think, showing slavery and showing how, we always think of slavery as being, New Orleans, Alabama, or whatever, but we were really complicit. A lot of people in town were really complicit in a variety of ways, either intentionally or unintentionally. And I think the exhibit really was moving in terms of showing how much slavery impacted not just the South, but also people all the way up here in New Hampshire, and how we really depended on slaves for a lot of the things that we had. So it was, hats off to Carolyn Singer. She's done, and she's working with someone else, but Carolyn took us through, and she's done a lot of work. I mean, we couldn't pay her to do this. Yeah. It's clearly a labor of love, like searching out information from all sorts of arcane sources to find out about Durham and what we were doing during the time of slavery.
Yeah, thanks, Carden. Yeah, Carolyn Singer has really done the bulk of the work, particularly on the historical research, and this is what she does for a living. And so I can't even imagine what it would cost if she were being paid, but it's a labor of love for her, and it really is. And it's there's some tough stories, but it's not to make anyone feel bad, but it's the historical truth. And so I look forward to that. And also Charlotte Hitchcock, who's our vice chair, is an architect and was the state historic preservation officer for the state of Connecticut. So she's designed things for us. She did a lot of work on the renovation project, and again, it's expertise you probably couldn't pay for. And then the other 2 people who worked on the Bickford Chesley House were Janet Mackey and Nancy Sandberg from the Durham Historic Association. Any other questions?
Thank you for your
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I'm going to call the meeting to order, and roll call. We'll start with Councilor Register.
7:25.
Curtis Register, 725. I'd also like to request permission to join the meeting via Zoom later this evening.
Carden Welsh.
Jim Lawson.
Darrell Ford.
Joe Friedman.
Jay Goose.
I'm Todd Selig, the administrator.
Okay, and Curtis is requested to be able to join the meeting via Zoom later on.
Yes, Jay Goose says aye.
Joe Friedman, aye.
Darrell Ford, aye.
Just a point of order, that
Yeah.
the law requires we have six counselors physically in the room the whole time.
Oh,
So while Curtis could hypothetically join, we'd be back in the non-meeting
meeting.
format again.
Okay.
With the approval being done before I leave, correct?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. The law speaks to having 6 in the room the whole time.
We will vote on
So
the
let's get
unanimous consent,
Yeah.
and appreciate you're here before you leave, and that is with a quorum in place. When there's not a quorum in place, we can't vote.
Okay, so I'm not going to vote because it's moot, right?
Right.
Part of this.
Okay. Well,
proceed.
we've gone out of order on the agenda, and I think we could continue, if you don't mind. We'll have Mr. Nyman come up and give his zoning board of appeals, and then we'll do the unanimous consent, if that's
Right.
okay with you? Yeah, okay.
Hi. Neil Nyman, Chair of the ZBA. Business is slow.
Good.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing. So last calendar year, we only heard 10 cases. I think we're normally supposed to meet once a month. I think we only met somewhere between 6 and 8 times. This year, so far, we've heard 9 cases, but 2 of them have been repeats, and our last meeting was 5. So I'm not anticipating that this signals some huge change in people coming before the ZBA. I think that there's 2 issues that I want to make you aware of that you might find interesting. So the first is we're using AI to construct our findings of facts and notice of decision. And this was Audrey's idea, and it's actually working really well. So, so last fall, we decided that we needed to do a better job of sort of articulating why we reached the decision that we reached, particularly in the case of controversial things that might go before the court. We want to make sure that the court clearly understands how we reached our decision. So over, I don't know, 2 or 3 meetings, we came up with a 2 or 3 page outline, which Audrey feeds into AI so that AI knows what we're looking for and what parameters should be used. And then we have our meeting, we make sure that we clearly articulate the important points, and then Audrey feeds it into her AI program, and it comes back to me, and I review it to make sure that the AI hasn't made any mistakes or is hallucinating. And then after I edit it, goes to Tracy, and that forms the basis for the formal notice of decisions. And so I think that our rationale and reasoning is a lot clearer now, and I think it's working really well. And yeah.
Yeah, Neil, is the AI making the decision, or you're making the decision and it's better explaining it?
So we're making so when we came up with this idea of we need to do a better job and let's come up with sort of a template, then I raised the issue, well, who's going to do it, right? It's not going to be me. And I was sort of looking at Audrey saying, well, I think it's going to be you. And Audrey said, well, why don't we appeal to AI? So the AI is just putting together and summarizing what we've already decided and makes sure that all the relevant points are contained in the finding of facts. So we tend to have free-ranging conversations, and members of the board are saying a lot of different things, and somebody has to synthesize it and put it all together in an understandable form. So the AI is sort of listening to the meeting and pulling things out and then organizing it according to the sort of template that we've submitted. But we're making the decisions and we're providing the rationale. And as I said, it's worked out really well. And I would invite you to take a look at some of the letters we're sending out.
So,
Yeah.
Neil, when you do the AI and you go to court, you present it to the judge as this is AI generated and checked by me? How do you do that?
Well, so first of
What are the
all,
findings of fact, AI generated?
so first of all, there's the judges can take a look at the recordings and see the discussion as it went. But the sort of layout follows the template that we've created, and it just fits our discussion within that template. So the AI is not making decisions, it's not providing any input, it's not doing anything. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to clearly articulate, what are the special conditions of the property? What are the what are the criteria that we used in order to reach the conclusion that we did. And we're doing it to help organize things for the court as well as for the permanent record that exists in the town. So, as I said, I review everything. And Audrey is a little disappointed. She wants me to edit things more. And it's like, well, no, it's already here and it makes sense and it follows exactly what happened. So I don't edit very much. But if it was something that was not part of our conversation or didn't make any sense, then I would change things or edit things. But we're not adding or subtracting anything. We're just trying to come up with an accurate reflection of the conversation in writing, and somebody has to do it.
Okay.
Is this a paid tool or a free, where?
I don't know, you'd have to ask Audrey, or ask Todd, do you know? Do you guys pay for like ChatGPT or whatever?
No, so it must be either the free version you can get as a person, or it's got to be the free version, because we're not subscribing to AI right now.
Yeah, I just look at the output.
Yeah. So I just, obviously there's caution and everybody's gonna be nervous about it, but I think there is definitely, it's here, right? It's here to stay. It's definitely something to be used. I applaud you for being one of the first boards to try and integrate it into make it more efficient. I think we need to make sure that we're tracking the company that we're using the AI with, whatever that company is, because they're not all created equal, and there are fake chatbot AIs out there. And two, just make sure we put human eyes on it. But I think with that type of ideation of having AI streamline findings of fact could also be another discussion of us being able to find ways to use them for minute takers or for other things that we don't necessarily have the appropriate amount of volunteers and time to do, and we can't afford a paid position. Something to think about, and thank you for your presentation, Mr. Nunn.
Well, and thank you for providing the segue to my second point, which is volunteers. So I think I've been on the ZBA for 5 years now, and it's the same cast of characters for the most part. And we need more members of the ZBA. So Michael Warnock would like to sort of transition off, but he's agreed to stay on because he's our only alternate. And a couple of our members, Mark Morong likes to travel, he's retired, and Kevin Lemieux has a lot of business conflicts. And so we're struggling now to come up with 5 members. So I would challenge the town council to reach out to former councilors. We would have asked Jay if he didn't get pressed into this. But Jay, you're only doing this for a year, so why don't you think about the ZBA?
I was on the ZBA for 7 years, so I think.
Come on, Jay, you still got a spring in your step. It's only 1 month, one time a month, and we don't meet every month, and it's not a real heavy lift. But I was thinking there was a rash of councilor candidates this year.
Yeah.
Don't they really? Weren't they sincere about wanting to get involved in the town?
The council, it's a great way to
Could we reach out to them?
This up. But I'm curious, Neil. Why do you think that there's so few? Are we doing more special exceptions? Are we doing more? God, it seemed like we were always busy back Carden when we were doing it.
There's not a lot of development going on in town.
Yeah.
I think it's the simple answer.
Neighbors, though, too.
Yeah.
We had a lot of neighbors.
No, we saw a lot of non-new development stuff,
Yeah.
but I guess that's gone a little bit.
People
by
wanted to put a
wayside.
swimming pool in somebody else's property,
They left
things
the
like that.
sale rooms.
Last year we had a rash of, what's the generic term for Airbnbs? What are they called?
ADUs?
Short-term rentals?
Short-term rentals, thank you. People wanting to do that, and neighbors coming out, and I got to sit there and say, well, we didn't write the ordinance, go talk to the town council. I guess none of them came here. But a lot of people were complaining about that. But we haven't seen much of that lately. It's very small, little itsy-bitsy. Most of it is, I want to put a shed in the side setback or something like that.
Yeah.
We haven't had any, and other than one case last year, we have not seen the council chambers filled with angry neighbors wanting to protest about something. So there's just not a lot going on in town. And
Okay.
It is what it is.
I will say though, I mean, not a lot going on, but I know in my time on the ZBA, I thought it was the most interesting board that I was on. Second only, our planning board was second to the ZBA. I found it very interesting.
Well, during our time, also the state made some changes that resulted in a lot of things becoming controversial. Some significant changes in terms of the criteria and what you could use. But that may have led to more things from where, and maybe people now are used to it and, you know, they're not so willing to push for it.
We should encourage people that we're aware of to really consider it and give them some idea of what the ZBA is like, and I think we really valued the experience, so.
I mean, it's a friendly group. We all get along. It's, you know, and it's not a heavy lift. So it's really a way to get involved with the town and do something meaningful, important, without it taking up a lot of time.
You could put something in Friday updates.
But we need more members. And I would ask all of you out to join me in putting in a little effort to find some members, because I'd really like Micah to be able to rotate off, and I like to have 5 members at every meeting. It's just tough. You know, somebody's hired an attorney or whatever, and they come, and then I have to say, well, there's only 4 people here. Do you still want us to hear your case? So, I don't have anything else to report, but I'm certainly willing to answer questions.
Yeah, Professor Nyman, I was wondering about the short-term rentals. What are the complaints? You said there's complaints about them.
So I think people are afraid that their neighborhood is going to turn into some traffic congested,
Right.
strangers
So the
walking
complaints are
around.
from the neighbors, not from the people who are trying to do it.
Correct. And so our response, well, this is the way the ordinance is written, and the council has chosen not to exclude your neighborhood or not to exclude your street. So it is what it is. Our job is not to overturn the ordinance. Our job is to provide relief from it.
But the people who are doing it are staying in the house while they do it.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Correct.
Yeah, that was a big discussion we had a long time ago, and we finally decided that as long as the homeowner is in the house when he's renting it, there would be enough calming influence to keep it from getting out of hand.
Any other questions? We all set?
Thank you for your
All right.
report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Thanks for doing it.
The approval of the agenda has shifted some. We've had our presentations early. We did have our public speaking, public comments early. I see you at the podium, Mr. Hall. But
No, we have not had all the public comments. I'll have one later at the appropriate time on the agenda.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda with the changes as previously stated.
I'll second.
Okay. Go ahead and vote. Councilor Ford?
Darrell Ford, aye.
Jim Lawson, aye.
Cardin Welsh, aye.
Jay Gers, aye.
Joe Friedman, aye. And I'd like to make another motion that we approve the minutes of May 4th, 2026. I'll make that motion, and as may be amended in conversation.
I'll second it.
And does anybody have any notes or amendments to the minutes?
I would just say that there were a couple of things during the discussion of my coming on where the things weren't quite right in terms of years and so forth, but it was what was said at the meeting, so I'm not going to amend the agenda.
Okay.
I've been here longer than it said I've been here.
Oh,
so-
okay.
Okay. So, no, I have no objections to it.
Just a point of order, if Counselor Ford has to abstain, can we still vote on it because it's less than a
Yes,
quorum?
that's okay. It's
Okay.
okay. It's okay.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll go ahead and start with you. Counselor Ford?
I'll abstain, I wasn't at the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
I was ill.
Jim Lawson, aye.
Cardin Welsh, aye.
Curtis Register, aye.
Jay Goose, aye.
Joe Friedman, aye. We are going to take these out of order. Counselor Register has agreed to come in, so we'll take your comments, Mr. Hall, after the unanimous consent agenda. We'll take your comments after the unanimous consent agenda, which will just be a minute. Does anybody want to remove or talk or take out any from the unanimous consent? Then I'll go ahead and make a motion that the Durham Town Council does hereby authorize the administrator to sign the Town of Durham's first half 2026 tax warrant and directs the town clerk, tax collector, to collect partial payment of property taxes assessed on April 1st, 2026 in the amount of $20,486,670.
I'll second.
Okay.
Well, you don't have to. It's unanimous consent.
Right, so I'm
So
going
just
to...
read them. I'm sorry.
And further, that the Durham Town Council does hereby, upon recommendation of the administrator, review and readopt the town's investment policy as required by New Hampshire Revised Statutes annotated RSA 41:9. And further, that the Durham Town Council does hereby schedule a public hearing for Monday, June 1st, 2026, on Resolution 2026-07 to accept and expend unanticipated grant funds totaling up to $25,000 from a fiscal year 23 Federal Emergency Management Agency Assistance to Firefighters Grant to be used as reimbursement to the town of Durham for tuition and overtime wages paid to fire department personnel to attend Blue Card Incident Command Training Program. And would you like to second now? Is there a
Is there a second? I'll
second
second.
on the unanimous consent?
I don't think you need a second.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and vote. Counselor Ford?
Darrell Ford, aye.
Jim Lawson, aye.
Cardin Welsh, aye.
Curtis Register, aye.
Jay Goose, aye.
Joe Friedman, aye. Right. Now we'll have further public comments.
I'll try to be concise. As that great orator Jim Lawson said some time ago, that every student we house in Durham is one less student on the market in Newmarket or Dover. So we are fulfilling a role because that lowers the price point in the surrounding towns for workforce housing. Jim said that some years ago. Two, at the last meeting, Jim Lawson, at the end of the meeting, had a critique of the management of the town that was quite good. That was textbook. It's what you'd expect of a junior or senior in business school, or maybe even at least with a bachelor's degree. And it wasn't, but it didn't go far enough because it did not have chapter 2, how we got here, and chapter 3, how we're going to get out of here. And Mr. Leland, is it? He said the department heads, well, that's not the problem. It's the total management philosophy. And I think Cardin Welch said that he came back to the council and we'd hired 3 more people. I mean, I don't know why we've got 3 engineers, but apparently we do. And I'm pretty familiar with what workload is, and there's some issues. If it gets addressed, some of those things get addressed, then I won't bring them up. During the, Andy Smith, is it, that made the presentation on the police survey?
Yes, from the UNH
Okay.
Survey Center, yes.
The most important thing he said at that survey, that report, was what he said about his son driving a university bus. I mean, he was really nice about it. But I just had a woman just furious about driving around town and having to compete with scooters and bicycles on Madbury Road without a bike lane. And something's got to be done about it before we repeat what happened with the one-lane Main Street. We killed the taxpayer. So there are some things that can be done term, and there's some things that can be done long-term. But I hope you don't blow Andy off, because that was the most sincere thing I've heard. I used to drive a bus, and up at, just to give you an example, just past Woodman Road, there's a bus stop, but there are two cars in front of it. Bus doesn't go sideways. You pull in, you still leave half the bus out in the travel lane. So I'm hoping that maybe you'll get this looked at and discuss it at a future meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Julian Smith, 3 Chesley Drive. I want to thank Todd and the folks at Public Works and the representative from VHB from having a neighborhood meeting last week. About 24 residents of Oyster River Road and Mill Pond Road and parts of the faculty neighborhood showed up at 8 o'clock on a very chilly, windy, overcast day to hear the representative from VHB answer questions about such matters as the closing of Mill Road, Mill Pond Road to traffic while something like 4,000 cubic yards of muck, silt, etc., or dredged or bulldozed from the pond, the drain pond, and then stockpiled on Mill Pond Road to dry out a bit before being hauled away. Now, one of the most interesting things from my point of view is that only one member of the council was present, and that was Curtis Register, and I thank him for being there. I wish more of you had been there to hear the presentation from VHB. The spokesperson for VHB did his best to speak straight and plain, but there were a lot of things he didn't know. He didn't know when things would happen. We still don't know, because VHB had to hire a consultant to figure out how the traffic will be detoured. And we don't know how long traffic will be detoured when Mill Pond Road is closed, except for pedestrian traffic on the sidewalk and maybe a little bit of bicycle traffic. It should be very simple. There are only 3 or 4 different ways people can get around. One of the neighbors asked what route would be taken by these dump trucks hauling stuff to a landfill or to landfills, and the representative from VHB said, well, some will go along Faculty Road, and instantly the crowd, people started shouting, no! You can't expect hundreds of dump truck loads probably leaking, or dump trailer loads probably leaking stuff to be going down Faculty Road. If they're going down Faculty Road, where are they going to? Are they going to turn right on Mill Road and do the circle and go out Route 4? Or is this the way they're going to get to Route 108 without having to, I don't know. It was just the presenter wasn't prepared for the reaction. He thought it was, obvious thing to do, haul dump trucks or dump trailers, hundreds of loads along Faculty Road. So there's a lot of planning to be done, and I hope it will get done soon. Now, we don't know when the dam is going to be removed, et cetera. We don't know when the road is going to be closed, but I'm hoping there will be updates telling us about all of that. So, thank you, and good luck.
Thank you. All right. Let's see, the Agriculture Commission. Jay, do you want to make a motion to appoint?
Yes, I will. Actually, she was there at the last Agriculture Commission meeting and very enthusiastic about being on and seems like would be a good candidate. So I'll make a motion that we appoint Samantha Register to the Agricultural Commission to serve, what is it serving for?
Through 29, of 29. April of 29, 2029.
Till 2029.
For unexpired regular membership position.
Yes.
Yes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any conversation?
I mean, are we sure this is the person we want on the Agricultural Commission?
Yeah, well,
I want to see how council register votes.
Are we sure you want to see this person on the agriculture?
I didn't even know she put in for it till I read the update.
I will agree with the counselor that she is very enthusiastic about doing this. She has changed her property.
I don't have a backyard no more.
Yes.
I got apple trees, I got cherry trees, I got carrots, I got potatoes, I got tomatoes, chickens.
Luckily, no rooster.
That's next year.
Yeah.
well, I'll tell you a story afterwards.
Would you like to start the voting, Councilor Register?
First Register, aye.
Cardin Welsh, aye.
Jim Lawson, aye.
Darrell Ford, aye.
Joe Friedman, aye.
Jay Goose, aye.
Okay. Would you like to tell your story?
Thank you,
Follow up
Samantha.
on
Thank you,
roosters. And I wish Neil was here to listen to what I have to say. I don't know if you were on when we had the discussion about chickens in town.
Yeah.
And we made the brilliant decision to allow conjugal visits,
Yes.
right? About every 3 months.
But no permanent roosters.
No roosters.
Yeah.
But we allow conjugal visits.
In the residential zones.
Right. So,
Very wise of you, gentlemen.
Yes, good
Yes.
move, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Samantha.
And, yes, thank you,
Being on the committee.
Samantha Register,
Tell her.
for agreeing to serve. And now a continued discussion and possible adoption of the town council goals for fiscal year 2026, 2027.
Forgive me, gentlemen, I think this is where I need to expire. I'll jump back on the Zoom.
Please don't expire.
thank you for coming.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Curtis.
Do we need to adjourn the meeting?
Yes.
We do.
We
Yeah.
should.
Hang on.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, jump right in there, Darrell.
We are adjourned.
And we need to vote.
Do we vote? I'd say yes. Sure. We got to vote.
Go ahead.
Jay Goose, yes.
Joe Friedman, aye.
Darrell Ford, aye.
Jim Lawson, aye.
Cardin Welsh, aye.
Curtis Register, aye.
Thanks, Curtis.
And my understanding is the intent is for the remaining 5 to have an informal conversation on film for the public still here regarding the goals. I think. But
And I
no
s-
decisions will be made.
I still have some significant updates for the roundtable as well, so there's still stuff I would like to discuss as well. Thank you, gentlemen.
Are you going to discuss it
Zoom.
online?
Yes, sir. Like I said, put the youngster down.
Yep.
Don't put him down.
Don't expire, don't put your son down, please.
Would anybody like to start off with any comments or discussion of the town council goals? We do have a new draft that was
Yes.
presented in the packet.
I have something on core values. Integrity is a synonym for honesty. Do we need both of them? I think core values are stronger when they're shorter.
Brief, yeah.
So I would take out, I like integrity, I'd take out honesty, but I can go either way.
I agree.
I agree also. I think we had that discussion last year, actually. Somehow they got left in.
Okay, I propose we take out honesty. Leave integrity.
I have lots of comments on goal 2, but on goal 1, it's facilitate optimal functioning of town government through continuous improvement, new efficiency, waste reductions, and regional collaboration. I recommend that we drop the regional collaboration because that's really covered in goal 6. So it would be efficiencies and waste reductions. It's just my recommendation.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. You know, we're trying to make sort of a lot of comments about, let's just cut this down so we actually have some goals and not just a lot of good feeling stuff. So to the extent that we can cut stuff out, as long as it's covered somewhere, I think it's a good idea, so I cut that out.
And were there anything in that list of goal 1 that specifically dealt with regional collaboration that you saw?
I didn't have any to cut.
Okay.
You know, if we're still on goal 1, Jim? Oh, yeah, still on goal 1. Under B, you know, there was some discussion about quantifying some of this that might be helpful. And I know when I was on when I started on the council, this educational opportunities, I think when we look at what we're in charge of, police, fire, and public works are very important. So I wonder if we could just have those one presentation by each one during the year as kind of an overview of what they're doing.
Which goal number are you?
It's under B, 1B.
1B.
Don't we normally have that?
Well, we normally have the budget.
Well,
Right.
we bring in each of the boards and committees, and then to the extent there's something that's happening, like the police survey, we bring them in. And if the council would like to hear from certain groups, we can bring them in. So if you'd like to hear from police, fire, public works, for example, that's terrific. We could bring in someone from those departments and have them talk about what they do, how they do it.
So I think it's an interesting idea because having an overview of how they operate is worthwhile. Sometimes it's necessary to understand the budget, but also things change to year to year. And so I think that's an interesting idea.
Yeah, I think there's certain counselors know a lot about specific areas, but then the rest of us don't. And so it gives us a chance to ask questions and pursue things further.
That's me.
Could we just replace B then with, our goal is to have those 3 departments come in and speak about how they operate to the council?
That'd be fine by me, but I think Councilor Lehrman was hoping for a little more than that. He's looking for someone to talk about, like, I think our overall responsibility or.
Yeah, so we'd have to talk more with Councilor Lehrman to get a better
Okay.
sense of specifically what he's interested in.
But I would like to hear those 3, even though I've been on council for 11 years.
Were you on the tour of the water treatment plant and
Yeah.
the wastewater? I think that was helpful a couple of years ago when a number of new counselors came on board, so.
Actually, I wasn't on that tour,
Okay.
but I was on one before that, yeah.
That doesn't have to be an every year, but periodically, perhaps field trips to see what
Yeah.
it is that we're managing and what it happens to be.
I think that'd be great.
I don't think we need to seek to, first of all, just the grammar of it. You can take out the seek to. Just say identify educational opportunities for the council.
There you go.
And I'm a little confused. I wasn't here when Mike suggested that, so I'm not quite exactly sure he meant by those educational opportunities that we're talking about. I'm not sure what it really means to me as a counselor. I mean, I figure I come on the counselor to listen to the community. The biggest part is our budget, let's face it, for the town. And then we deal with, I'm not sure where the education does what he's looking for that would make it different, and I would feel differently coming on the council. What would I be getting from the education? Any one of us has a chance during the budget season to come to the meetings and hear about what they're doing. But I'm not going to argue with somebody coming in and taking their time for what? How are they going to do it in a 1-hour presentation and tell you what they are? I just don't quite see it for.
So I know in the past, during the year, any number of times, the town administrator makes us aware of webinars or meetings. Also council members also do, and to me, that's the education part, where if it involves something that we're either doing or interested in, we can take advantage of. What this reads is like we're tasking you to go and look for opportunities to educate all of us sitting around this table, and I don't understand that, and I'm not sure what was deficient in the past, but.
That's what I'm saying. He articulates it better, as always. That's what I say.
So Councilor Lehrman had spoken to me briefly about this goal, and he had recalled that he had served on a prior board of a nonprofit, and the executive director had brought in people and topics to really keep the board of that nonprofit apprised of their role and other elements of the organization, so they were really aware of it. And he was hoping we could do things like that here to educate the councilors, so members of the board would be really equipped to dig into topics. I think that's where he was coming from.
I just don't think it's necessary, but
Okay.
I'm certainly not going to say, take it out, he's not here. I don't think that's fair.
I'd like to flip it around, that the counselors, and I don't think it needs to be a goal, then the counselors make the administrator aware of things that we'd like to have presented to us.
Right.
For instance, I have very little knowledge of how we do bonding with the New Hampshire Municipal Bond Bank, okay? It's a great group, but I didn't know that there were just 2 times that they place bonds. I didn't realize that it was only after 10 years that they could refinance it. So maybe I say to Todd, I'd like to be able to come in and spend 20 minutes just educating us on bond. I think it's incumbent on us to ask the administrator for specific things that we think would be.
I'm all for it. So if we could word that like that.
But are these goals for the administrator or goals for the council? If it's goals for the council, then word it that way. But
Okay.
I was thinking, Jay, about things like constantly asked by people in town, why do we need McGregor and the fire showing up at the same time? So I think that would be, something like that would be interesting to have Dave come in, oh, he took off, Dave come in and share that discussion and the pluses and minuses, not just, and it wouldn't just be for us because it'd be for people in the audience to hear. So.
It's a good example.
And maybe give an update on the mutual aid that's going on. I mean, we hear things about it, but
Yeah.
if he's coming in anyways, you know, that seems to be a part of it.
Yeah, I did learn a lot. I was on this committee to select a captain. One of the captains is leaving. And they do these exercises where they say, there's a fire at this fraternity. They use the actual fraternity. They show the fire coming out the window. What do you do? And, you know, the first thing they do is decide, who do we call in? I mean, is it just Durham, or do you have to do a second, I think they call it second call.
First,
And-
first alarm and then.
First alarm, second alarm, and then you get Dover and Exeter and a whole bunch of other ones come in, which was pretty interesting, you know, the collaboration between all of them. And also when our people, we have 4 in a shift, when some of them are taken off, we call in other people to come in, and sometimes we have to call, you know, even more than that. If guys are out on one call, then another call, then we have to call from other towns to come in. So it's fairly complicated and pretty interesting. So something like that, like why do we need and how do we rely on regional collaboration, I think would be interesting for us, but a lot of people in town as well. I can't tell you exactly how to word this, but
No,
yeah.
that's why we have an administrator.
So that's goal 1. Goal 2? Any other points on goal 1? Elections.
Is that a council goal or an administrative goal? D.
Which one?
1D. So far as I know, we've never done that before.
Yeah.
I mean, Todd does it, and obviously we have a great staff working on that.
There were like 4 that I had suggested we at least talk about including. Whether we include them or not is another thing, but I wanted the council to be aware that they were going to be big issues. They were significant topics that staff was going to have to put a lot of time into. And this was one. We will do this, we will do it well, but we're going to be working on it behind the scenes. And the other 3 had to do with the Mill Pond Dam removal, the Madbury Road Complete Streets project, and there was a 4th that's escaping me, but it was that same.
Todd, why do you have
Hill
2027?
Shoreline was the 4th.
Shoreline.
But
Yeah.
I understand what Cardin's asking, because the way it's worded, it's essentially saying it's a goal for the administrator to do this. As a council, we're going to ensure this being done. We're really charging you with making sure that we're aware of what's going on. I don't see how we can ensure it.
Yeah.
How we can ensure it.
Well, it's in many ways a shared goal, because ultimately the council is in charge of elections. Like, the council are election officials. We have to determine the location, make sure it's staffed, make sure it works.
We do?
Yes, in practice, the council, statutorily, yes.
Maybe we
In
need to be
practice,
educated.
the council has never been that active, other than being kept apprised of what's happening, approving the election warrants, and then members come to the elections to help. The heavy lifting is really done by the town clerk's office and the moderator, who do, and the supervisors of the checklist, who mobilize everybody, get people trained, make sure the facilities reserved, and I coordinate with the departments to make sure Public Works and Police and Fire have everything ready to go, and provide support to the clerk, tax collector, and the moderator. So it's truly a team effort. And if you look at under the purpose and use of goals, that was intended to try to kind of weave together that a lot of these are shared tasks by many.
Would it be better to say something like, work with the town administrator to ensure the town staff is aware of what needs to be done to provide fair and so forth?
See, when I use the word like the council should ensure, the council's a group here, but we have one employee, and that's Todd.
Right.
So anything that the council is doing has as a goal, it's sort of by default his goal. Now, there may be some things that we take more ownership of, things like, for instance, we have a budget goal. That's our goal, but it's the administrator who ends up having to try to work to achieve that goal. So I'm okay with what it is.
Then it sounds like this would be okay.
Yeah, I'm
I
okay
think
with
so,
this too.
yeah.
You okay with that?
I think so, yes.
Why do you have 2027 in here?
Because this will encompass the March
Yeah.
2027 election, local election. Before the new council takes
Okay.
office.
The new council will set goals after the March
Yeah.
election, so it needs to be put in there.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was thinking of the federal election.
Yeah. And in many ways, like, we've already started to prepare for the state elections to come with the purchase and activation of the new ballot machines to do essentially a trial run at a low turnout local, a typical turnout local election, which is a much less intensive day than the statewide primaries and state general elections. So all of which will come up later this year.
Okay, goal 2.
So I have a lot of things, so can I just delve in and give you an overview, and if it's okay?
Sure.
So first off, if anybody has any questions about the budget goal, I'm certainly happy to talk about it. What Todd has in here reflects the conversation at the last council meeting with what I said, and then when we got together. I think it's reflected in this, and I just want to note that the plan is for next year a budget which is an increase in expenditures of 2.5%. Okay, so it's just not the 4%; it's the 2.5. So I think it's very much doable.
Could I say one other thing before you start?
Yeah.
I just wanted to note that in pulling this draft together, my goal is to try to, as fairly as I could, include the comprehensive feedback we were getting around the table or that came into me from counselors after the meeting. And so you won't hurt my feelings at all changing these things. I was just trying to capture it all in a articulate way. So I look forward to all the feedback.
And before you go on, just one other thing is the word excluding, I think, when we get through here, does not need to be italicized and underlined. It can stay as a word, but I don't think it needs to be highlighted. I understand what it is doing and what you're saying.
Okay.
So,
That's fine. I've noted that. So I'm going to make a general comment, and then I'm going to make some specific suggestions, and I have a couple of wording changes. But my general comment is this: in one of the items, it highlighted something that Portsmouth did. And what Portsmouth does is they create a budget information package that's 28 pages of incredible graphics and about 5 pages of real information. But it's readable, it looks good, and I think every community in New Hampshire would like to have it. In Portsmouth, they have a city manager, a deputy city manager, a second deputy city manager for finance and administration. They have 2 finance directors. They have a human resource manager and 2 human resource specialists.
What's your point, Joe?
Goes on and on. My point is, in Durham, we have Todd and Gail, okay? And so I get really concerned about setting goals that are beyond the resources that we have, unless we're going to have a discussion about an assistant town administrator and maybe an assistant director of the business office, which obviously is not going to happen. So the first goal that I have real concerns with is goal E. It says gather budget and relevant information from other New Hampshire towns with comparable population and complexity to use for comparative analysis. In the past, I've spent time looking at other towns' budgets. It is incredibly difficult to do. Every town, even though they use similar software, does their budgeting in entirely different methodologies. And it takes, even if you want to just look at a department, it takes an incredibly long time to unravel it. And then we're saying, analyze it. And then we're saying comparable towns. I don't know of a town that's comparable to Durham where there are more residents living in group quarters than there are permanent residents, and there are more transient residents, okay? So I think that this is incumbent on a town councilor. If there's something that you're interested in that Goffstown or Amherst or Bedford or Milford or Peterborough does, then I think you're going to have to be committed to roll up your sleeves and spend the 20 or 30 or 40 hours it takes to understand the budget. So I would like to see E go.
Do you want to talk about them one at a time? Because I understand your point there, and you picking Portsmouth as just one town, and how we may even disagree about which towns are right to pick to compare, and then all that other work. So I would tend to agree with you that if somebody wants to go benchmark another place, they can dig it out, try to dig it out, and present it back to this council. A better way to do it than what we are currently doing. So I would support taking that out.
Yeah, I have a comment on F, the format. I read Portsmouth format, very nice. Doesn't have any forecast going forward, I noted, which is, kind of discussed here, but there is no forecast. But I do believe we could better explain what's going on with our budget than we have in the past. And I think that Todd and Gail, know the numbers very well. So when they say it and put it in Friday updates, they understand what they're saying. But I think a less detailed, more broad-based presentation to the town in Friday updates, you can do it here, would be good. So when he says, if you cut that off and says an understandable explanation of the overall outlook, impact, primary drivers, we can do better, I would say, than we've done in the past. Something way short of what Portsmouth does. But I think educating the town as to what's coming up in terms of 2028, 2027, and what is going to happen to their taxes and when that is going to hit, I think is something that is a good idea. You know, most people, no one in town, 95% of the people in town don't know that their taxes are going up 15% in December, year over year, even if their assessment was 20%, whatever the average was. And people are going to be really shocked, the people who got more than 20%. So I just think we can do a better job of that. And we're getting a new CFO, so maybe this is a good time to set up a, some sort of format for her or him to use. That's all.
So can I add a few
Yeah.
things to that? So first of all, right off it says modernize the budget packet. That makes it sound like it's
Right.
archaic.
I think update is a better word.
And yeah, that's exactly, or continue to improve. And projected future municipal tax rates for the next 5 years. We actually do it for 10 years.
Yeah, we have that.
And that's part of the administrator's message. But I totally agree with Cardin, particularly with using graphics to explain trends, where we put expenses. I think graphics could really assist us. So look, if I can come up with graphics to try and explain the parking downtown, I will volunteer to present to this council in August or September a set of graphics that would be easily incorporated by the town staff to see if we could not create a Portsmouth document, but make it more understandable so somebody could look at it and not have to digest numbers. And I have some good ideas for that. But still this modernizing and saying we want things that are in there. And so my idea is to make the goal, if you permit me, is to expand the administrator's budget message. You know how you create your budget message, which is currently comprised of the budget, currently comprised of personnel budget and vehicle comparisons, the fiscal forecast, and the expense summary, to include easily understood graphics that assist residents in better understanding the high-level budget data, tax rate, and fiscal outlook. That's achievable.
And I would think that when we go for the next budget person to replace Gail, that they should be able to handle pie charts. To me, there's nothing better to put on a chart than a pie chart. It's very simple to see. It tells you exactly where the money's going in our whole budget. If you get that sheet that we get, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty good at looking at that stuff, and I have no idea most of the time what's going on through all those numbers. There's just too many numbers. But I've always liked the pie chart.
Sometimes you can't understand the numbers without.
So whoever we hire has got to be able to come up with that. And I think Jim's idea of making it simple as a goal is good.
And removing the last sentence and references to Portsmouth, take that out.
Yeah, and the other thing I just want to note is projections for the county and schools are difficult because the budgets don't align. Okay, we do it based on the fiscal year. We're finished in December. The county does it on a fiscal year, but they don't present it until January, and it doesn't get approved until April. And then the school system is basically on the school system calendar. And
But it's also 3 towns, and we don't know what percentage we're going to be stuck with.
yeah, so
No, but we know Durham's going to be more.
Why is Durham up so much this year? Any explanation?
So in my very quick read of it, because that's all the opportunity I've had to look at it, the ADM, or average daily membership, is, if my recollection is correct, 2 years behind And in this cycle, Durham's, last year, Lee's ADM was up, Durham's was down. 2 years ago, Durham's was up and Lee was down. And then, so Durham has a greater share of the enrolled students, which counts for half the formula. And then, in addition,
But can it change that much in a year? I mean, do we have a slug of new children? And
hypothetically, it could, depending on graduation, who's coming in, who's going out.
yeah, it just seemed too dramatic a change.
And the other is adequacy aid. My recollection is that Lee's adequacy aid increased and Durham's decreased. And those two
Apportionment,
factors-
excuse me, when my wife was the chair of the school board, I went through this a lot with her. As people from the various communities, from 2 years, every couple of years, one group would be coming in to the school board saying, you can't do that to us. How come Lee went down and we went up? And then 2 years later, boom, 50% of it is apportionment, and it varies. And that's just the way our system is. We can't do anything about that. People are buying houses in Durham with kids, and sorry, it's the way it is. So
It
this
just
year-
seemed dramatic, the initial indication we have. My guess is it's wrong. I'll just say that right now. Because things don't change that dramatically, but we'll see. But it goes to the point of it'd be very difficult to project out.
Right.
It's hard for us to project out for 5 years, much less guess what the county and the school are going to do. So,
And if we had more resources, I would have the deputy administrator delve into it and spend a week or two, but we just don't have that. In G, I'm just sensitive to wording where at the end it says increase the desirability and viability of downtown Durham. Let's just make it the desirability. Our downtown is viable. It's been viable for decades. We have 22 established eateries. So I just like, and then the last one, it says work to revitalize Durham's commercial core. We have done so much on that. We had the Main Street project. Main Street looks entirely different than it did 20 years ago. We've improved 66 Main Street, which used to be just brush. We've done signage for Jenkins Court. We've changed the traffic pattern with Pettybrook. So when you say work, it sounds like you're starting. So I would rather say something like continue working to, or continue to improve, or continue to revitalize. You just say work, it just sounds like you're starting rather than.
And I'm a little concerned about revitalizing neighborhoods, because most of us who live in those neighborhoods are there for a reason, and we're pretty happy living there. I'm not sure what revitalization means exactly. I've said before, I'm a little concerned that the push to infill on our neighborhoods is not by most of the people who have moved here, are living there. So maintain, I like the word maintain, or at least continue to maintain core, something
Maybe.
like that.
Continue
As
to.
Jim says,
You take neighborhoods right now.
we've been doing a lot to revitalize, we've tried to do a lot of things for the.
Couldn't you use the word improve, continue to improve Durham's commercial core? Because the things that you spoke about were all improvements, including the park
That's fine.
right in the middle there.
Yeah.
And the islands coming into town, I mean, those are all improvements. The street lighting, the trees.
Yeah, so, continue to improve.
I don't know why neighborhoods is in there, though.
Yeah.
I agree
don't know.
with,
I agree with that too. It
I
doesn't
agree
need
with
to be.
Jay. No one in my neighborhood is looking to improve it.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Want to protect it, not more than
Yeah,
improve
yeah.
it, it seems. But what about the concept of, and I would think this would be in this statement of continue to improve the commercial core, is this look at the commercial core adjacents and what's already zoned, and should anything else be zoned without necessarily intruding on neighborhoods that are established. But a lot of the uses that you see close to town are non-conforming uses, and they're never going back to single-family homes. They're big, the big fraternities, the things in back of them.
Yeah.
It's just,
How would you write that? I agree. I think we all know what you're saying.
Remember when we did the rezoning and we put in the PO zone,
yes,
it was meant to be a transition
right,
zone
and that may be
between-
expanded.
So we expected to see some
Right,
buildings, and so far, I remember right after it happened, a couple of the houses, they went from single-family homes to single-family rentals.
Yeah.
Nobody was building a Ford apartment building for professional people. It was all, at that time, and I don't know if it's changed, but it was really just to bring in students to a different part. What we're looking for is commercial. And boy, I don't know how you do it. I just
well,
don't
part
know how
of
you
it
do
is making it allowed in these adjacent zones. What is zone PO?
Yeah.
And,
They can do it now, like ZMed. It's there. It was a perfect example.
so your
This
question
is-
would be, it would seem that just saying to improve it, improvement of the commercial core would be to provide more residents closer in. And there's talk about, do you allow multifamily in these PO zones or not? And is that an improvement? It would seem for retailers, having more foot traffic and close walking would be an improvement. And it's not changing the nature of, it isn't necessarily changing the nature of these adjacent zones either, from what they already are, but just allowing it by right.
Well, again, I guess it's just my paranoia about seeing buildings being built. And I don't know how many years it's going to take to get non-students there. I don't know. But if you put up a four apartment building, all residential, would allow multi-unit in the PO zone or in the adjacent zone, you're not going to get accountants. I know what you're going to get. No question. Now, it could be 10 years from now, it might not be, but
Currently,
I'm
they're
just
currently,
pointing out that
yeah,
we're
currently,
still a town, fortunately a town that has to deal. We're not like any other town, pretty much, in this state. Even though ones at the universities like Hanover, they're not the same. They don't have the university right in the town. So we have to keep that in mind as we do all this stuff.
currently,
State's not helping us, that's for sure.
currently there's little demand for office or professional space or professional services space. That's probably the lowest demand. It doesn't mean it'll always be that way, but that's the
Right.
current situation. It's not our strength either. We don't have a critical mass.
I
of
mean, the
it.
businesses don't help the commercial by charging high rents for the space. That may change, because it used to be that they were able to make so much money on a per bed residential basis, they didn't really have to worry about the commercial part on the first floor. But as we've seen, it's somewhat under-rented now. And maybe we'll be seeing some rents come down for commercial space.
Well, would you want to change a H to
Right.
say, if you take out neighborhoods in the first line, or take it out there, do you just move it in ways that protect the neighborhoods?
Yeah, I think there is, protect their character, enhance
But
their
that-
sense of community,
But it's different than
but it's
improving the
different, yeah, it's a
neighborhoods.
separate one, yeah.
It's actually protecting the improving the commercial core while protecting the neighborhoods.
But-
Is really what the goal is. it
But
would
do we
seem.
really need
Exactly.
do we really need to say that? I mean, further on, we say, in line with the master plan, which
Yes,
tells us to protect the
Yeah.
neighborhoods.
Right.
So
I don't think neighborhoods fits underneath this
I don't
particular goal.
okay,
I
yeah,
agree.
all right, I'm fine with that. So, do you need to say then in ways that protect, or you just say continue to improve Durham's commercial
improve.
core?
Well, you were gonna say something, and the neighboring, it was
Oh, the
How are you
adjacent-
defining core, the adjacent? Yeah, I mean, I saw someone wrote a letter talking about Madbury and changing things all the way up to Robbie's
Right.
old development.
Right, Davis Court.
And so I could see, Jay, someone taking Robbie's and developing it in a way that added a lot of housing that was good for families, for
Yeah,
instance.
that'd be great.
Yeah, the owner is interested in doing that.
Yeah, and I think that would be, I think that'd be economic, you know,
So I
that
think,
it would
I
work.
think you can keep the neighborhood in there, but you just have to word it properly. We want to continue to encourage, or something to that nature, the commercial core, and being aware that the nature of,
Yeah.
character of neighborhoods is important also.
I can take it. I think
Yeah,
I've got
take
enough-
a shot at a
I
time.
thought it's-
Okay.
I was listening to a planning board meeting the other day, and it was very interesting. Because somebody came out and said, you know, in a master plan, there's only like one reference to really neighborhoods. There's like 15 references to development. So don't just assume that the master plan, because, you know, it has a part that you can use that completely.
Hey, Todd, if
And
I
I
could,
grant, I have a certain bias because I live in one of them, Carden, we live in one of those pocket neighborhoods. It's important to us.
so
So does
if I
Darrell.
was,
So do I.
So do I.
So
So
does
do you.
Joe.
So do you. So it's important to all of us.
But
so if I was to synthesize what I heard, I would consider continue to improve Durham's commercial core in ways that protect its character, enhance the sense of community, better provide for the needs of residents and businesses, strengthen the fiscal health of the town and UNH, and align with the master plan.
And did you have neighborhoods in there?
No,
No, you dropped
No.
neighborhoods.
And change there to its. Did you want to continue?
those are really my,
Okay. Anything else on 2? Moving on to 3. Does anybody have any comments on 3?
It was pretty good.
In number 4, perhaps if we were to take what Larry Brickner Wood had suggested and include some reference to the Historic District Commission or the Heritage Commission, that this would be the place to
So in
give a shout out?
Yeah, I thought-
or-
If you look at 4C, I added back language that we had more or less had last year
Yeah.
at the very end, but it doesn't go as far as what Larry suggested.
Oh, I see, the history there,
But
yeah.
we could say, I mean, what Carolyn asked for is just just actually mentioning Durham's Historic Development Commission and Heritage Commission. And I think we could do that. And related programming, including the celebration of Durham's rich history through the work of Durham's Historic District Commission and Heritage Commission.
Sounds good.
Because I did look, and there isn't a lot of discussion about the Agricultural Commission and some of the other, you know, groups. So I think just if you highlight those 2 points, I think it makes the point. I mean, Larry wanted to do further, but we're trying to keep this,
Right.
you know, fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
And if you add too much, it just gets lost.
So this thing from last year on the non-binary options is, it says make all town operations. Was that goal achieved last year? Is that an ongoing goal?
I don't even know what it means.
yeah, so,
Yeah.
so this is really confusing to me because non-binary is a term specifically used to describe individuals. It's not used to describe
Right.
options. And if the town is committed to policies and openness and non-discrimination, and so I'm just totally confused
When
by
it came
by
up
this.
last year, it was on applications, there was some wording that was, I guess, I don't
Male,
know, if
female.
objectionable, but it was desired to be changed.
But
But
I-
I think
but I like
changes were
the
made
idea
on
of the-
applications as a result, right?
A lot, yes.
So I like the idea of what Jim is saying in terms of non-discrimination, something generic, because it encompasses everything that we're talking about here. We might lose federal funding, but
Well, so we've had a goal of this nature for a number of years, and based on that, we've done a lot of things. As we review union contracts and policies, we update the language to strike he, she, and we have gender-neutral language. If we have bathrooms that are sort of general-use bathrooms in buildings, we are relabeling them as unisex bathrooms rather than men's and women's rooms. The places where we've been more challenged are like at the Durham Fire Department, where we have limited facilities. So and at the police department, there's a men's locker room, women's locker room, and if there was someone who was gender neutral or gender fluid, we'd have to work to try to find a solution for that. But in terms of public access, I believe we are doing this and fully consistent. We've updated the language in the town charter to include gender-neutral language, and we've begun to update different forms as they're up for renewal and refreshing. We deal with that kind of language. So I think we're making good progress, and we'll continue to do so even without this language. That's something the Human Rights Commission talks about. I think we could drop it.
And
Joe, do you mind if I just go back to a second? So are we taking anything about neighborhoods out? I would like to see something in still. Again, I'm going to push for what I feel is important. Something about the character of, I know it's in the master plan, but Jim just said that so is the agriculture, so are agriculture in there.
Well,
I'd like to see it, something that we have as a goal to maintain the character of our.
well, it says it in goal 4 at the bottom of that page.
Right, I think there was something.
And then at the top of bottom of page 3, top of page 4, it does talk about the character of Durham's traditional neighborhoods. So that seems to be in there
And we
at the
weren't,
bottom of 4.
we weren't talking about taking that out.
No, but, so Jay, I don't know if you wanted it in the economic section or it actually is here in the
4A.
Yeah, 4A,
4A.
Jay.
Look towards the bottom of 4A.
I would have it in 4A. It's fine.
That's where it is.
And it's there,
That's
yes,
it, okay,
that's fine. Okay,
all right.
that's fine.
What about E there? How much are we supposed to educate the residents' understanding? I think this was something Michael Letterman was pushing for also. But I'm not sure what it means, what we would have to do.
I think here, you know, he was talking about like perhaps public forums about different parts of town. You know, maybe, like I was thinking, police, fire, public works. I frankly disagree with him. I think that this town is, you know, incredibly open in terms of anything we're doing is, you know, you can go on DCAT, you don't even have to look, you can look, you know, 5 weeks later, do whatever you want. There's committees, as Professor Nyman said, that aren't full, and there's places for people to join into town. When I wanted to get involved in town, I just joined a committee. I think that's pretty common. Samantha just joined a committee, you know, other people. We have more committees per capita, I believe, than any town in Durham, in New Hampshire. It's just an incredible number of open spots. And I think, I'm really not sure what else we could do. I mean, we can hold some things in the library, but I'll tell you, I go to things at the library, the same people are there all the time, and they're not new people. They're people who've been involved in town stuff. So maybe there's something we can do, and maybe it would help, but I think we're really good at this already.
So through active communications, the Friday updates is frankly the envy of many communities, okay? It's just, it is an active form of community. It's focused on outreach. There's constant education about what's happening in the town. Somebody noted recently that in the Friday updates, to me, they appreciated the fact that the town council agenda is in there, which in the past, it hasn't been. So, if we're going to have public forums, and my question is who's going to do them? And frankly, a lot of our town boards and committees do the equivalent of forums. Sometimes it takes place at Durham Day or at the library or some other event, but it's not like we're devoid of it. So
what would you suggest? We remove E?
I can go ahead and suggest that we remove E. I mean, it's like, is this something we're actually going to do?
it's something we're actually doing.
Yeah, I would recommend stopping the sentence after the word decision-making, because that really, we're constantly pushing out information to try to educate the public. Look, this is what's happening, here's some information behind it, like it or hate it, here's what's being talked about, and if you want to get involved, here's where you go to do it. That's kind of the ongoing thrust, and we provide all sorts of ways for people to learn about it, watch on the rerun, and come and provide feedback. What I think some residents might like to see is sort of the forum where there's debate back and forth, and that we operate here, at least at the council, in a representative form of democracy. So the citizens have voted in councilors, and the councilors decide as a group. And everything the council's being provided is public. The public has a chance to provide feedback on that, so the councilors can make judgments on what they hear. But it's challenging to go beyond that. I think we do that really, really well. If we do the back and forth forum, right, the question is, well, who's going to do that? Are you going to throw me there? But I am not the council, so it's awkward for me to get into a debate with somebody when the council's decided. I can talk about all the reasons why I think it makes sense or why I think the council did something, and I could bring you back feedback, but the other element is it takes an awful lot of time to organize, prepare for, engage in a public forum on a topic. And
Also,
yeah.
I don't see what we get out of that. The one thing that really caught the public's attention and that we really went to the mat on was the dam. And I thought everyone who wanted to keep the dam had every opportunity to make their case. And we all listened, and we all, followed up, and we all took a look, and it wasn't an easy decision. And we were even called on it to allow the public to express whether or not they agreed with us, and they did. But I think that was the instance where, we had lots of people, lots of time come in and talk with us. We knew all the arguments, pro and con, and we made our decision. I think it was representative democracy. That's how we do it. And when we moved off from representative democracy to pure democracy, we got the same answer. So that was great. So I think there's room for that in anything we do right now. So I don't think we have to do anything else.
And if the council, I mean, if a member of the public or members, they can provide feedback during public comments for 5 minutes, but if somebody wants more time, they could request that and we could schedule them as an agenda item, at which time they could provide more thoughts and ask the council questions. I mean, so there could be some engagement back and forth between the council and that person or those people.
And they can write letters and send in stuff ahead of time so we can read it and think about it. I mean, I have to say that, the town's full of bright people who've made great arguments on both sides of a lot of questions. And we've considered those arguments, and sometimes people are mad because we don't agree with them, but, that's the way things go. We have to make a decision, and sometimes it's really close, but we end up one way or the other.
All right. So I think, do we agree we take off the end of end the sentence at decision-making?
Well, I think up until that point, we already do that. So I would just take the whole thing out. That would be my recommendation. I don't think it's...
I would recommend keeping the first part simply because I think it's important we do it, and it's important the council say we want to do that. And that ensures we keep doing it and keep going at it hard. It sends a message to departments as well, to committees. So I think that's good.
It will also remind us to be sure everything's included in Friday updates or wherever else we want to discuss it.
Yeah. Goal 5, does anybody have any comments about Goal 5?
How do we encourage the UNH administration? I'm not sure I'm not sure how you do that, how we encourage UNH to do something. We can encourage our administrator to do what he does now, which is meet with UNH. But I don't like the idea of
You could change
Are we
it and
writing a
say-
letter to them saying we encourage you to meet with our administrator?
You could say encourage collaboration between the UNH administrator and
I
terms
think
of
that's fine. I just don't like the idea of
Yeah.
specifically saying we're going to encourage the UNH administrator. Unless we decide how we're going to encourage them.
Joe, I have an issue with number E, 5E. Remember, Todd, we spent a lot of money designing a new fire station about 15 years ago. Still don't have it. Still, 5 years out in the plan. Why do we have to do this now? We're not going to do this. We're not going to build a new fire station in the next 5 years. Legitimately, do you think?
No, I don't.
And they've, actually, Mike Lehrman and I went up to see, and they've made some nice improvements in the space. It's a lot better.
No
than
elevators still.
Yeah, no elevators, but it's a lot better.
Yeah.
It still have a pool. You can go down the pool if you want. But the living quarters are nicer. It's not a Holiday Inn, but it's nicer than it used to be. And I don't think this is something we want to take on this year, number E, particularly when we're struggling with the budget and struggling with, keeping things as they are right now, much less building something new.
I think the most important thing is simply that we have a long-term future site. So when the time is right, we've agreed on where that would be. And it had been Waterworks Road, and in the new master plan at UNH, it's now more focused on B lot, which is a great site.
Does West Edge have anything to do with it?
No, not right
Okay.
now.
And I will note that in 1978, we had a town hall or town meeting, and the town voted against putting the fire station in B lot.
Is that true?
It is.
Wow.
First town election I voted in.
No residences want a fire station next to them because they are worried they're gonna hear the
Yes.
sirens at all hours
Yeah.
of the day and night. But then, once a fire station is located near a neighborhood, that neighborhood doesn't want to let it go because they're happy to have the extra safety. And the reality is, fire trucks don't roll with lights and sirens from the get-go. So,
But this is a group that was worried about having people keep their cars running when they were going to a drive-through at the plaza. So they're not gonna, that's why, they're not gonna want a fire station next to them.
And when you said encourage UNH in A, it also says encourage in B, so I assume you'd probably want something different in that as well?
Yeah, unless we can word it differently. You guys on the other side there of the table right there. Anybody have a different way? Because I just don't think that that's
I know what you mean,
a doable
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Fred, could we just say collaborate?
Encourage collaboration.
Yeah,
Not even
or
just-
collaborate with
Take out
UNH.
those-
Collaborate
one
with the
thing.
UNH administration on decisions and plannings that affect the university, the town, local businesses.
Yeah. And that would include
No,
B.
he was,
B,
yeah,
maybe you could
including
put that
B.
all
Just
in
take
the,
B.
in the same.
I remember
thing.
M wanted that in there because she wanted more information about what was going on at UNH, and she thought they should be doing more to let us know. But I don't know how you make them do that. You don't.
Right.
And they publish a pretty robust
They do.
calendar.
Anything else in number 5? And are we taking E off? What was the ultimate decided
yeah, I think we're taking E off.
for this year?
Why was Dave here tonight?
Because unanimous consent.
$25,000
Unanimous
for
consent.
fire.
There's
Oh.
the grant. for
Just
the
in case we had
initial-
questions?
Yes.
Okay.
There might be a way on 6, Joe, to really combine A, B, and C into one paragraph, because they're really all saying, and essentially saying the same thing. To work with the agencies that we can work with to improve Durham in some way.
C's really focused on like responding to legislative initiatives
Can we
or
do it in a shorter?
changes.
You know what, I hate to say it, I'm looking back, I just pulled up the town council goals from when I was in 2013. I think we have 10 goals, each one is one paragraph. And the only thing we were really missing in it, we didn't have very much about the budget because we were home free. We had the TIF district, we had money, they were building big buildings, so we had all kinds of, tax money available where we could do all these things that we wanted to do. So the budget really wasn't much of a concern back then. But it's the only thing missing from it, but essentially it's saying all the things we said here, but all in about 3 sentences for each one of them. I'm not saying that's the way we need to do it, I'm just saying it is possible to do that.
So I think B and C are materially different. I don't see how you combine them. There are some aspects of B that I like just based on my experience with Jim Morris and Sue Caswell and the completeness of the information that they provided the council and the discussion, even the follow-up meetings, because we were interested in some things. And I think B sets us up for that possibility again. So it just seems like it worked really, really well in the past.
You know, we've never had the school board chair, I don't think.
No,
We've
we
always
never
had,
did. We only had, Dr.
No.
Morrison.
so, and I think it'd be interesting to hear from the school board chair too. Maybe if I would just say just once a year with both of them would be fine.
The way I worded it was, invite the superintendent and chair, and they can decide if they
Okay.
both come or not.
Yeah,
Michael Ehrman had suggested meeting with the full school board, and but I
yeah, no,
modified it to read as it is here.
That's a good idea.
yeah.
But it's up to you.
Yeah.
I think 6A really is kind of covered in Goal 6 on its own, intergovernmental awareness and collaboration. So I
Yeah.
don't know if we need A.
Okay,
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
we'll just go with A and B then.
Yeah.
And just invite the superintendent and school board chair to attend a council meeting.
The same with the county administrator, county commission chair. They're
Yeah.
not coming more than once, are
No.
they?
Yeah,
We've always had a superintendent.
No.
Yeah,
come every
the
year.
superintendent typically
Yeah.
comes twice, so
We've had it
But-
before. I'm not sure what would happen
so I
now.
we could do, as we have in the past, two for the school, one for the county. The county, we
Yeah.
typically invited them once a year.
I found the county meetings very helpful.
yeah.
Okay.
So the only addition would be we'd have the school board chair come at some point.
Right, we'd invite them,
Invite them both.
we'd invite them both.
And they decide, okay.
And they're coming to do what? Are they giving us what are they coming for exactly?
Dr. Morse used to give us an overview of everything that was going on in a very precise, very well executed presentation. And we would talk about finances as to, for instance, how are you going to build a middle school where we already have, some strain on
I
our
understand that, I'm
finances?
thinking of the school board chair,
Oh, the chair.
the chair. What would we be getting from the chair
Well,
to us?
you're inviting,
Yeah.
so the chair could come or not come. If counselors or a counselor had a concern in a specific area, it might be good for the chair to hear that, but you're not requiring them to come.
Yeah, I'm not sure I get it exactly why.
You could take the chair out.
Are they
if you
coming
want
to be grilled? Are they coming to be,
They're coming to provide information.
you know what I mean? Are they coming to be told or to be asked what their philosophy is of education?
I don't think so.
just-
I don't think so, Jay. We have no expertise, right, in what their philosophy of education is and what the, what do they call it, how they're setting up the day-to-day. We're really asking, do you have the facilities you need? Do you see something that's going to come up? I mean, frankly, superintendent didn't give a very good presentation as to why we needed to spend $10 million on the school, but maybe the school board chair would. They have a longer term, in this instance, vision of what's going on.
Plus these scores that they produced in terms of proficiency on the different grade levels. From a layperson, it's like, that doesn't look very good, and yet I see in social media, it does benchmark well against the other towns, but it was like 83% proficiency in reading, and
I guess I can see the
numbers seem low.
superintendent.
We don't see Durham on the top 10 lists anymore of best schools. I mean, it may just be like, tell us what's going on with your school, right? Because it's
I got to think more about it because I
Yeah.
still have trouble with the school.
But I'd be willing to
We're
try it.
independent.
Let's see.
That's the thing.
Yeah, we're
We're an
independent.
independent group.
Yeah,
We have nothing to do with their budget.
we collect their taxes for
It
them.
affects us. We can certainly ask them.
Yeah, we're independent, Jay, but we're codependent too.
Yeah.
If we have good schools, the town does well. If we have crap schools, the town does poorly. If we charge too much in taxes for town services, they get squeezed.
They could
So-
ask us.
Yeah.
to
Sure.
go there too.
I'm happy to have
About
Joe.
if we have
Happy to have Joe come over there.
Joe, we'll have an exchange.
Yeah.
Go there.
Yeah. No, I'm fine with
All
that.
right, I'm still having trouble with it, but that's okay. I'm just one good suggestion. I'm going to talk to my wife though, because she was a school board chair for quite a few years.
I would like to talk to your wife when she was there. I think she would have good information that, we'd want to know.
I never got it.
So Gwyneth in DCAT just sent me a text saying, passing along a message from Curtis Register. And Curtis says, I'm online and listening. And he writes, I'd recommend not to remove anything from the discussion this session, as we do not have a quorum. Recommend a version with tracked recommended changes from this session, May 18th, to be discussed at next session.
Well, it has to by default because we
Yeah.
can't vote on
Track
it.
changes.
That was a
yeah.
given. We knew that.
Right.
Yep, that's good.
It's a given.
All right. We done?
Yeah,
I think so.
I'd recommend not doing the round table. It's a small echo chamber and
Yeah, that's fine, because
Yeah.
their school person could say, I don't want to come to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. yeah.
That's fine.
And then we'll say why. Why don't you want to
Yes.
come?
What are you trying to
hiding?
avoid?
Yes.
Would it be possible for me to just give you a few
course.
updates? Because I just Please do. really want to keep you up to date on a few
Sure.
pressing things. So, let me see. The first is there'll be a representative from a company we're contracting with called RealQuest, ReelQuest, that will be at the Mill Pond Dam tomorrow doing some filming as part of our historic mitigation requirements.
Is that Jerry Monkman?
I don't know who's going, I don't,
Because-
it will be Jerry, whoever
Yeah,
Jerry
Jerry.
is.
That's him.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
No, he's a
Okay.
wonderful photographer.
Okay. Our tenants are scheduled to move in June 1st into the Bickford Chesley house, which is positive.
How much is the monthly rent?
Oh,
It's like around $2,000.
No, it was
it's 2350.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. You know, it's a great place, but it's not perfect, right? You have to have, anyone who's living there has to be flexible.
Yeah, you're kind of living in a fishbowl.
Yeah.
And some of,
Yeah.
a number of the prospective tenants did not like that, and were not comfortable with it. So, with the business manager selection process, just a brief update on that. We ultimately had 13 applicants. MRI, which is helping with the initial vetting, narrowed that down to 7 who they felt were potentially qualified, and did telephone interviews with those 7, and from there have narrowed it down to 2. So both are kind of non-traditional prospective candidates. So before we convene our larger group, Gail and I are going to meet with these 2 this Friday via Zoom, just to get a sense of whether we think they're viable or not. If they are, we'll convene our larger group. If they're not, we'll go back to the.
What does that mean, non-traditional?
They don't have a specific municipal or school district budgeting background.
Okay, but they're financial people.
They both have financial background.
And they know pie charts.
I believe they do.
That's the
I believe
trick
so,
question.
But we'll
Yeah.
learn more. We'll learn more.
Well, they like to eat pies anyway.
Does that count?
So with the planning, director of planning process, the ad is out, and the soft deadline is June 15th. So we'll see what we get. In terms of labor attorney selection process, I've reached out to 4 or 5 companies and have spoken with 3, and am waiting for some pricing. A couple are non-responsive. So I've got some good prospects, so in another week or so, I should be able to select a good attorney. And we've been notified by the Police Officers Union that they would like to commence collective bargaining negotiations for a successor contract. Their contract expires December 31st of 2026. And I've let them know that they're on hold until we can bring on our new labor attorney. They're fine with that. And then also, as you may know, Craig Stevens, our DCAT coordinator, had been full-time. He retired, came back part-time, and he has notified us his last day with us will be June 25th.
So we're looking at whether we can be a little creative and perhaps address DCAT through a reorganization of some other positions. So we'll keep you posted how that plays out. My goal is to, in essence, use the people we have and assume those roles amongst other things that are happening. So I'll let you know how that proceeds. There's a lot of conversation behind the scenes about that. I'll let you know as well, I received a phone call from a resident today who has an active development project ongoing, and that individual has apparently been scammed out of $5,500. He received notices from what he thought was the town of Durham, requesting payments of $5,500 for building permits and whatnot, and he paid that. And now is trying to track what happened and see if he can get his money back. But it's very concerning. And then last week we had our first meeting of the Town Gown Collective, which went pretty well. It was, Curtis Register was there. It was a couple of hours that we met. And the initial focus will be on, there's an interest in doing a housing inventory, what UNH is looking for, what Durham has or might be looking for housing needs downtown in particular, and downtown vitality. That's the initial focus of the group. But it was a nice conversation and a lot of discussion around collaboration and how decisions by one party or the other can have consequences and how we can work together for everyone's mutual benefit. So, and it included UNH Durham, someone from the Durham Business Association, someone from the Durham Landlords Association as well. So that was okay, and Curtis Register attended as well. That's all.
Councilor Register, you had said something about wanting to make some comments during roundtable. We're not having a full roundtable, but are there some comments you'd like to make now?
Yeah, that'd be fine. I have 5 separate organizations that I've been tracking, and some of them do have some time pressing requirements, and I don't want them to all pile up into the next session as we're going to continue to have. So even if I'm the only one that brings roundtable, I would like to brief my whole roundtable, please.
Yep, please do.
Okay, first up out of the gate will be the school board. They last met 6 May. Their next meeting again is this Wednesday, 20 May, 7 p.m., Oyster River Middle School Recital Hall. Theirs is still pretty heavily focused on the leadership challenges and the budget challenges from this previous cycle. They had a thorough conversation talking about budget decisions, the $519,000 that voters requested to be put in to save certain positions. The school board and the administrator or the superintendent confirmed that they were going to retain all 28 teaching positions and all 5 district nurses through this calendar year. But they are starting the 2027 budget discussions, and those are including positions that they're looking to right size and terminate. One particular discussion just revolved around tutors versus English language arts specialists and how they can utilize them, and that had a pretty decent emotional reaction to it. And so that's just something that the community is currently going through in addition to what we're discussing with the budget on our end at the municipal level. They had a presentation from the principals of Mathway and Mohammed talking about getting more effective. The title was Time on Learning through K through 4, and it's meant to provide an efficiencies in instructional programming. It's not meant to cram, it's meant to find ways to save time while also meeting the requirements for our K through 4 residents. Another one positive here is the Oyster Middle School robotics team finished top 150 out of 400 teams in the Robotics World Championships in St. Louis. We also, in Missouri, we also had 12 high school students receive honors from the All-State Music Festival, and 1 student finished top 10 in the world at Principles of Finance competition. So hopefully maybe somebody we can hire for our CFO position if you want. And as well as the Oyster River High School principal received her doctorate recently, so she's Dr. Rebecca Noe now. There's no school on 22 May. There's a teacher workshop 25 May for Memorial Day, so don't forget our 25 May ceremony, 1000 in Main Street. for Parks and Rec's putting on. Additionally, kindergarten registration is on for the 26-27 school year is ongoing this week. 19 May, Tuesday, 21 May, Thursday, 07:30 to 11:30, and then in the evening registration, May 20th, Wednesday, 3 p.m. to 8 changeover from Durham Solids Waste and recycling curbside to Casella. The carts will be just starting to be distributed 27 May. Excuse me. And Casella takes over the curbside collection 29 June. Residents can turn in their old solid waste and recycling carts to the transfer station. This is a beta sustainability newsletter that's kicked off. It's got 80 participants so far, and I'd like to encourage folks to sign up as it helps even the playing field of information. It's not just the Friday updates that stuff is going on through. The sustainability newsletter is a collaboration from several boards and bureaus within the town of Durham to talk about activities and initiatives that are ongoing. To sign up for the sustainability newsletter, you can go to the town of Durham's website, the Integrated Waste Management Advisory Committee's page, and then there's a sustainability newsletter sign up tab that you can click on and put your information in to get signed up on. Additionally, Durham resident Allison Jumper is going to be presenting at a PFAS panel talking about the impacts of PFAS on our area. She's unfortunately very experienced with PFAS and its impacts, and so she'll be talking to that at the Great Bay Changemakers in Greenland on Depot Road, 16 June, 5:30 p.m. They're meeting again this Wednesday, 20 May, 08. I also had landscape. A lot of activities that centered around identification of plants to be used for future information and trail stewardship stuff, but it was a very inclusive idea of getting community members out there. Unfortunately, I got slayed and I wasn't able to join, but I'm really interested to hear about the feedback on that. At the last land stewardship subcommittee, we discussed in depth the Japanese knotweed removal process and came to consensus that the chemical treatment is the only effective way to get rid of it, and that's coming from the regulatory bodies at the state level. We talked about the risks associated, and glyphosate is currently the only method of removing knotweed that's effective. It's a strict permitting process for the applicators, and there is no risk of ground infiltration into your waters. The biggest risk is actually to the applicator who's putting it in himself, the town of Durham contractor or employee. And DPW Director Rich Thrain says they go through about a gallon within 2 to 3 years, so it's not a lot of spray that they're doing. Their next meeting is 10 June. Like the administrator said, we had the Town Gown Collective, and I'm actually really excited about this because this is actually something that I've been pushing for the last couple of years. In our Landlords Association, we had our police and fire there, and it paid dividends on the first meeting because we talked about calendar syncing. And we talked about getting a way to communicate to the Durham Business Association, to the Durham Fire, to landlords on when events were happening. And there was multiple complaints that were brought up about missing events or not knowing what's going on. And not that it's done, there's still going to be complaints and there's going to be friction, but the conversation opened up about providing a unified calendar across the organizations in the area. In addition to, they're not redoing a Halvin inventory, but they're consolidating and updating. They're going to take our old reports, they're going to take the RKG reports, they're going to take all the definitive work we've been doing in our housing inventory and our housing analysis, as well as what they have at their own statistics lab, to try and see if there's a needs-based approach that we can have more easily communicated so that we actually understand the site picture of the problem that we're looking at. I was very enthused by the turnout. So was the Landlords Association and the Durham Business Association. We'll see how this goes. We're talking about doing town halls biannually, where we'll get the community involved and have them be able to get easier access to information or be able to quell rumors or misinformation that may pop up. But I'm very hopeful that this is going to be the start of something that helps bring Durham and UNH much more closer together and hopefully much more prosperous. Our next meeting is going to be in 10 June as well for that. As Mr. Smith alluded to, I did attend the day. It was really well done. I thought There was definitely friction. I think we should probably have had more ownership on the MC control for moderating the questions and moderating the flow. But VHB, our engineer, the transportation contractor, they all answered questions calmly and professionally, even when emotions were a little bit flary. For the public, it looks like the project could start as early as 1 June or as late as 15 June, depending on the fish migration. When I interrupt the fish migration through the dam. But the project is expected to be substantially complete by November of this year. And then we have a planned quality control inspection and check in the spring mostly for making sure that the flows don't destroy any of the shoreline and that the invasives are being properly mitigated. And then there's a 5-year plan to continue that quality control, monitoring and checkups and invasion mitigation. The equipment is going to be all staged out of Mill Pond Park with a planned minimal removal of vegetation. So we're talking like simple brush along the pond, no big trees. They're not going to clear cut and they're not going to destroy Mill Pond Park. They're intending on just putting the equipment out into the water, staging at Mill Pond Park. No equipment is going to have a wet load, so they're going to make sure that either it dries via sun dry or they have accelerants to help absorb excess water to prevent the stuff that's going to be toxic or there's going to be hazards in the soil or the spill that's brought up. And the VHB representative said there has been strenuous testing and there is no minerals that are above any elevated levels of risk for human health or for the ecosystem itself. The only one that had any elevated levels was of arsenic, and it wasn't elevated to the risk of human health or ecosystem or environment, and it was not outlier for the area that we're in. Other areas in surrounding communities have the same levels of arsenic in their soil as well. And so there was no high levels of mercury or cyanide or any other crazy toxins, and it was deemed so safe that they're even opening an old landfill up, I guess, in Saugus, Massachusetts to take it because Rochester didn't want it because it wasn't toxic waste. And then the last thing I got is for the SRPC. SRPC met this past Friday, and they'll meet again in the following June. And one of the items that we've discussed in here, there are several grants that are up for grabs that I probably need to talk with Todd offline on, as they have several deadlines that are coming up. And there's also a public comment period on the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, SEDS. They have posted the draft document online, and it is open for public comment until 7 June. So you would need to go to the SRP for any individual who wants to discuss it until 7 June. Forgive me, I'm just going through to make sure I didn't miss any points that might be interesting. All right, so this is something that came up when they were doing their analysis, is there are several tracts of Durham that come up and qualify for economic distress. They are student housing centric areas. And so Mr. Paul Masmussen was on that call or on that meeting and said that we don't need to necessarily stress about the title of economic distress, but the definition of economic distress is per capita income is 80% or less than the national average, and the unemployment rate is at least 1% or greater than the national average.
All right. Well, thank you for your report.
Otherwise, I appreciate your time and letting me speak, and I'll turn the floor back over.
Thank you. All right. I think there's no formal adjournment, but we are done with the meeting.
Oh. Okey doke.
Y'all have a good